All right, this is a little later than I'd expected it to be. Kind of being kind of a busier morning, and then I decided to try watching The Dead Don't Die, which is a zombie movie directed by Jim Jarmusch. That moment of silence being over, let's get into the 2020 NFL draft. And first off, the ratings were apparently 37% higher than last year. And if anybody's surprised, it's the only sports. That's it. This is the only sports thing that's happened in a month and a half. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a big hit in South Africa and Antarctica and on the moon. I think wherever you are, if you're on the moon, cool. Anyways, I haven't seen any charts that show me I have subscribers on the moon, so looking forward to that. Yeah, Joe Burrow went #1 overall, which surprised nobody. Here's where things get interesting for me when it comes to the NFL draft. Nobody ever agrees on grades. So coming out of round one, Chad Reuter, who is a writer for the NFL, I've got all his grades in red. Pete Prisco, who's from CBS, I've got his grades in blue. And Annie Benoit, who is a writer for Sports Illustrated, I've got his grades in black. All three of them give an A to Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati, which tells me it's going to be a disaster. That's the Bengals fan in me coming out, though. Honestly, it's the Bengals fan in me coming out. I do wish Joe all the best, and hopefully this goes well for him. Chase Young, defensive end, going to Washington. I was surprised to see one of them, and I believe it was Chad Reuter, believing that Tua should have gone #2 to the Washingtonians. But Chase Young, the best defensive end in the draft, best defensive player in the draft, and you've got to improve your team. When you're Washington, you got a lot of holes in the roster, and so everybody gave it at least an A-. So 1 A, 2 A-. Jeff Okudah is where things get kind of different. So cornerback going to Detroit. An A from Chad Reuter, a B from Pete Prisco, and a B+ from Andy Benoit. So, kind of a bit of a difference of opinion there. And a lot of the grades when it comes to the CBS ones is basically, I wouldn't have taken this guy there, so I'm going to downgrade it. The NFL draft is different. So, I cover the NHL draft every year. We're not sure when the NHL draft's going to be this year. We're still trying to figure that out. But the NHL draft is different in that if you draft a guy maybe a little bit out of position, I don't see a whole lot of downgrades for that. But the NFL draft, these guys are all good to go. These guys should all be playing pretty much right away. NFL's a little different. Careers are shorter, so the window to get a guy in the lineup and get him going is shorter as well. It's not like in other sports, like baseball. It can take forever. It can take 4 or 5 years. Not a big deal. But in football, it's pretty much right away. Now, where things get interesting is at 4. Andrew Thomas went offensive tackle at #4, and I was surprised to see him there because I thought it was going to be Isiah Simmons. So, offensive tackle, outside linebacker, they went with a tackle, they went with Thomas. The grades B, B+, and C+, and it basically was the same idea of we didn't think he was going to go at 4. And if you're a Giants fan, you have to kind of throw your hands in the air and go, yeah, this is the way it works. We go to the draft table, we make a draft pick, and everybody goes, oh, seriously? They drafted that guy there? So I'm hoping he proves some people wrong. I'm hoping he comes in and does what is expected of him by the Giants. At 5, Tua went there. Tagovailoa? Or Tagovailoa? Yeah, all right. Tua, as everybody was calling him yesterday, and that's why, right? QB goes to Miami. A, 2 Bs for that. So everybody kind of agrees, yep, Miami had to get a pick. Now, one thing is the red Chad Reuter. He was grading how teams did in the draft, so he gave Miami an A overall. So the individual picks, he's like, yep, good, but overall he gave Miami an A. The Chargers depends on who you ask. Justin Herbert, quarterback. We kind of knew Herbert was going to go here after Tua went #5. A, B, and B-. So. There was at least one dissenting voice that didn't think Andy Benoit of Sports Illustrated didn't think Justin Herbert at 6 was necessarily a great move. Now, one that seemed to have somewhat similar opinions, Derrick Brown, defensive tackle, A+ from Pete Prisco, B- from Andy Benoit, and this is why when I was trying to do research for the draft, I couldn't find any consensus on anything. I couldn't find You know, it just all turned into my opinion is, and I'm thinking, well, that's not consensus. It feels different than it does with hockey as well that way, where with hockey you have a large number of scouts that you can have all this information from, and with the NFL it feels more like the Wild West when it comes to grading the prospects. It really does. Whether it is or it isn't, I'm just saying it just feels more like that. Number 8, Isiah Simmons, outside linebacker. I'm going to go ahead and give the Cardinals an A on this one, even though the grades were A from Chad Reuter and then a B- from both Prisco and Benoit. I think Simmons overall, outside linebacker, and yeah, I think he'll be fine. CJ Henderson, pretty close to the same grade for this one. Cornerback going to Jacksonville. A, B+, and B+. So everybody seemed to like that pick. Jedrick Willis Jr., A, B, and an A. Also offensive tackle for Cleveland. Cleveland just needs... And this is where, again, my opinion is somewhat different than some writers, where they'll say, yes, this player was the best player at that position, but they didn't need that position this year. They needed this position, so they fail. I'm thinking, well, no, you should take the best player. I mean, if you have an extra guy coming out of the draft, so let's say you draft Andrew Thomas, and that's not your spot that you need as the New York Giants. You got 2 guys who can play this exact same spot on the line. And you can move the other guy, or you can figure out, when you get into camp, what you're going to do from there. But I do find that weird how it's, well, they don't need that. And it just reminds me of, and again, with an NHL comment, when Carey Price is drafted by Montreal and Pierre Maguire loses his mind because he's convinced Montreal doesn't need a goaltender. They're fine. They don't need a goalie. Why are they drafting a goalie at 5? So we see that with football all the time. Whereas I don't understand why they're drafting another quarterback, because they wanted another quarterback. We'll get to that. Mekhi Becton goes at 11 to the New York Jets. Offensive tackle, A, B, B+. Pretty widely respected as being a good player. In fact, Becton, one of them had Becton going at 4. So the fact he drops to 11, it could be a steal for the New York Jets. Either way, Becton apparently had to play in New York. Number 12, this is where things get really different. Henry Ruggs III goes to Vegas, wide receiver, C-, A, and a B. Okay, now that C- is an overall grade for what Las Vegas did yesterday. But you know what? I think Las Vegas just needs to, get their upgrades. And from everything I saw about Ruggs, he's pretty damn fast. And if he has other things to work on, okay. But if you're a pretty good wide receiver and if you've got a good set of hands, that's kind of what you need in a wide receiver. Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle, goes to Tampa Bay via the draft pick that was the Indianapolis Colts. A, B, A-. Everybody basically agrees that Wirfs was a good pick. At 14, Javon Kinlaw goes to San Francisco. That was Tampa Bay's pick. Defensive tackle, B, B, A-. Pretty much agreement as well that was a good pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jerry Jeudy gets great reviews going to Denver, wide receiver, A, B, A+. So Denver trying to amp up their offense, which they need to do, and apparently getting Jeudy as the number 15 pick gets them on their way that way. A.J. Terrell going at 16th to the the Atlanta Falcons. Sorry. Defensive back, B, C+, B-. Kind of all over the place, but sometimes these grades are just not against the player, but against why did they pick a defensive back? That's not what they needed, because they probably thought it was the best player available. There's managers who are likely at the table going, you know what, this guy's a really good player. We're going to take him, even though that's not necessarily our need right now. We're going to pick this player because he's the best player available. BPA is never a bad thing. Best player available. All right. Now, normally on the hockey channel, when I switch boards, I pause the camera. I'm not pausing on this one. You guys can let me know underneath. Should I just keep working and just forget about pausing the camera when I change boards? It's a question I've been asking myself, because there were times with hockey videos where I would pause to change boards and then I might accidentally hit the wrong button and have to start all over. And sometimes I thought, I don't really need to. So just let me know what you guys think. So, the Dallas Cowboys did very well at 17. They pick up a wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb. A, B+, A+. Everybody loves this pick. I love this pick. I was surprised Lamb fell all the way to 17th. I'm not a Dallas fan, but this makes them better. CeeDee Lamb should make them better. At 18, Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, goes to Miami. That had been Pittsburgh's pick. A, C minus, B plus. Yeah, all over the place on that one. And lineman, I can understand that. Lineman, I can understand there being a wide discrepancy between people who love the pick and can't stand the pick. I get it. Now, Damon Arnett going to Las Vegas at cornerback. Again, C minus, that's the team grade. B and a C minus on this one. And honestly, I don't know. I guess they just didn't like Arnett at that pick. But for Vegas, they get 2 first-round picks. And we'll see how Las Vegas does this coming year. K. Lavon Chason. So Chason's a very hockey name. Just throwing that out there. So that's nice. K. Lavon, not as much a hockey name. Jacksonville gets that pick from the Rams. Offensive linebacker. Pretty widely respected pick. A, B plus B. Jalen Rigor going wide receiver. I'm going to apologize straight up front if I get any of these names wrong. B, and an A minus. Jalen, very popular pick for the Eagles, wide receiver. And again, the Eagles not that far from being a Super Bowl contender. Adding to your receiving core, I think, is always a good thing. Because I'm always of the mind that you need to have more than one running back, and you need more than your standard, say what, four wideouts. You need more. You need to make sure you have more because there's going to be injuries. There's going to be a guy who's going to get turf toe. It's going to be something that happens. You need more. Justin Jefferson, also a wide receiver, goes to Minnesota. That had been Buffalo's pick. A, B minus. So Jefferson, popular pick, pretty much across the board. Minnesota did well for themselves, again, according to NFL.com. Kenneth Murray goes to the LA Chargers. This was a pick the Chargers took from the New England Patriots yesterday after we turned off the live stream. That gets an A, B, and a B. Inside linebacker, good. The Chargers have decided to upgrade not just the quarterback position, which is good because they're a team that definitely needs to change things. I was kind of surprised Cincinnati didn't get into another first-round pick, but they're doing the second round tonight. I'm not doing a live stream for the second round, just so people know, because it goes too slow. Like I know that there's been mixed reaction from fans about this. I think the draft was just going too slow. I'm perfectly fine with doing a draft for an entire first round, but not when it takes that long. That's just, even by hockey standards, I don't know if I could do a 5-hour hockey. I don't know if I could do it. The hockey draft drags as it is, and there's 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes on the clock before your pick goes in, and on some of these it was 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 7. Like, oh man. So yeah, Cesar Ruiz, a center, goes to the New Orleans Saints. Now what's interesting is A minus, A, and C plus. So the writer for Sports Illustrated did not like Cesar Ruiz going to New Orleans. Thought that was not a great move. And okay, but the other two thought it was great. So, right? Now, the pick that had been Minnesota's that goes to San Francisco, and San Francisco fans, I saw a tweet yesterday from a San Francisco fan who wasn't necessarily happy about how many picks San Francisco gave up to move up. But Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver, B plus, B plus. Pretty much consensus that this was a good pickup for San Francisco. And San Francisco, a team that, you know, is considered to be a contender. You can, again, add to that wide receiver core. Why not do it? Why not? Now, the pick that had been Houston's, yesterday it belonged to Miami. Miami flipped that to Green Bay and moved themselves down. Jordan Love is picked up as at quarterback. This is my favorite of the grades. A minus, D, and B. Now, there's some speculation that how can you do this to Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers said he's going to play till he's 40. You can't. Why are you bringing in a quarterback? Here's the thing. I'm Green Bay. I'm looking at the draft. I'm looking at 26, and I'm going, okay, that Jordan Love kid isn't going to end up falling to us. We're drafting at 30. We like the look of him. We know Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in football, but he's going to get old. It's going to happen. It happens to everybody. And we need to make sure that we have somebody in our lineup who can step in if Aaron gets hurt, if we have to rest him, something happens along the way, we're good. When Rodgers shows signs of decline, we've got Jordan Love there, and we're set. There's nothing wrong with having a good backup quarterback. Ask Steve Young when he was in San Francisco. He was the backup for Montana to the point where we were screaming Young should be somewhere else because he was ready to take over. And then Montana left and Young took over and had a pretty darn good career as well. It is not a bad idea to go out and get a quarterback. So even though there's a D in the middle here, which was because I can't believe they've offended Rodgers like this. If Aaron Rodgers is going to be concerned that they just drafted a quarterback, that makes him kind of fragile. And Aaron Rodgers is not fragile. Aaron Rodgers, looking at this, my guess is he's probably going to say, cool, I got competition coming into training camp. I like it. I don't have a problem with it. I really, really don't. If you're a Green Bay fan and you disagree, let me know in the comment section below. But I've ordered one NFL hat, which isn't arriving yet, but I've ordered Green Bay because I've always had some respect for Green Bay. Yes, there will be a video where I rate my favorite through least favorite football teams, 1 through 32. Dallas is going to be 32. Just throwing that out there as a spoiler right now. Dallas will be 32. Now, next up on the board was the Seahawks. They draft Jordan Brooks, inside linebacker. Mixed reaction to this, B, C+, and B. But again, you're the Seahawks. You've got a pretty good team, and picking up a lineman isn't a bad idea. Inside linebacker as well to Baltimore, Patrick Queen, A, B, and an A-. So it would appear that the writers liked Queen more than Brooks. So this may very well be part of the reason why Brooks gets the lower grade than Queen. But Seattle may have seen something with Brooks that they liked more than they did with Queen. I think part of what happens, and this was a theme yesterday too, where a lot of players who were getting taken, they were getting taken by teams that were near where they went to school, where they grew up. So I think that's part of it as well. Now Isaiah Wilson went at 29, offensive tackle to Tennessee. Popular pick, B-, B+, B+. Again, Tennessee had a pretty good year. And then Miami picks, they take the Green Bay pick at 30. They take this Noah guy. I'm not going to even try the last name. Cornerback, I'm sorry, because I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to absolutely butcher it. I know I will butcher that name. I know. I will sound exceedingly just, I didn't watch that part of the draft. So, you know, because it was like midnight my time. It was too slow. It was too slow. A+, and a C+. So just to be different, Sports Illustrated had to give this one a C+, but you know what? It sounds like Miami did well. So think about it. Miami trades down. The quarterback goes to Green Bay, which Miami didn't want anyways. They've already drafted a quarterback, and they get a cornerback that they wanted. So Miami did pretty well for themselves. They get an outside or an offensive tackle. They get a cornerback, and they get a quarterback. This is good. This is a sign that for Miami, they should at least improve next season. There's everything there to make you think they're going to improve next season, which is needed because what a miserable year for Miami. Now, Minnesota gets this pick down here that they swapped with San Francisco. They draft Jeff Gladney, also a cornerback, A, B, and A. So again, Minnesota trades down. San Francisco gets the player they want with the wide receiver. Minnesota gets the player they want, and they get extra picks. So in football, extra picks is huge. I think it's more important to have extra picks than in any other sport. You guys can let me know in the comment section if you agree with that, if you think that hockey's more important. I don't agree. I think in football it's more important, again, because careers are shorter, and most of these guys are ready to step right into jobs in football. We have a better idea of who's probably going to excel at the NFL level and who isn't. And then to finish out the round, Kansas City Chiefs, your Super Bowl champions, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back. A running back gets taken in round 1. And that was a question before the draft started was, will there be a running back taken in the first round? I think it's a smart move that, again, you can always use an extra running back. So if you have a chance to get a talented running back that you think is going to be an impact player, you get him. You get him. And so Kansas City did that. And the grades, A-, B-, C-. Depends how you go. NFL.com gave it the A-, B from CBS, and then it was a C- from Sports Illustrated. And this is what makes it really difficult to really kind of come out and grade who you think are going to be the steals. I think Tennessee did well in this part of the draft, and I do like the guts shown by Green Bay here. I like the guts shown by San Francisco. I like when a team moves up and is willing to get rid of extra picks, or in the case of Green Bay, you go out there and you try something nobody expects you to do by drafting a quarterback. So there you go. Round 1, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video, it's nice to have something to talk about that's sports. That's actually happening. So that's nice. And then the big question becomes, when do we have games? When are we going to see actual football games? And I don't have an answer to that right now, and neither does the National Football League. But we'll see what happens. Again, let me know your thoughts. Do hit like and subscribe if you're just browsing your way through. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a lot right now. I will talk to you again soon.